So a few days ago, I watched The Green Book, and if I'm saying his name right, I think it stars Marcella Ali and Viggo Mortensen. And right now, after Can You Ever Forget Me, I think that this is the best film all year. And there's a lot of reasons why I say this. That I think that, for a film about racism, that we can go to extremes and watch films like American History X, where there's a lot of violence and intensity, and I prefer those films because there's a lot of verisimilitude within that. And then we can watch films like this, where it is about racism, but it's not as vicious and violent and angering as American History X. And this film is a historical, is based on a real event. It's about this jazz singer. No, it's about this pianist who goes down south on a tour, and he has a driver, and his driver goes down south with him, and he's also like a bit of a security guard. And this guy learns to change and have a lot of tolerance. They almost become friends on the road. And there's a lot of things that I like about this film. And the big thing that I like about it is Marshall Ali's character. He plays this black pianist, and it's revealed that like from 3 years that he was found that just like with Michael Jackson and some other people, that his talent was kind of discovered when he was 3 years old. So he worked in the White House, and he was always kind of in that environment of very uppy and preppy people. So I liked how they kind of showed him as a person that was uppy and preppy. And there was like a scene in this movie where his friend, where they get like where the driver's getting like fried chicken and stuff, and he's like, come on, just eat the damn thing. And the guy's like, I don't want, and the pianist's character's like, what, I don't want that to touch my clothing and all that. Because one thing I liked about that was they're showing that he was very preppy, that he was kind of a person who couldn't really enjoy life and stuff. He was that type of person that, he would be that kid that would read by the pool that the parent would love to grab and throw them into the pool and say, what, that's living life and stuff. You gotta live life a little. And there was also like a scene later in the film where there were a bunch of black people playing, with horseshoes, and he didn't want to be involved in that. And then they kind of say, what, you're just doing that because, you're uppity, you don't want to get your nice suit all ruined and stuff, So I kind of liked how they did a good job of showing him as preppy and all that, because I think that it's very easy when we talk about films where black people are victims of racism that we don't give their characters some character flaws. We kind of make them a complete victim throughout and stuff, and that never gets over. I watched the Japanese anime Welcome to the NHK, and it's about a character who is a hikikomori, and some symptoms of that is people who have who are socially isolated because they have anxiety, and some people say it's a form of autism. But in that show, what I liked was that the main character can be very despicable at sometimes. And if you're gonna make your character a victim, like in Welcome to the NHK or in The Green Book, you have to make them human, and sometimes the best thing to do is make them a bit despicable too, because if you make every character despicable except for them, it's unrealistic. Look at The Simpsons. The reason why we love The Simpsons is because there are those heartfelt episodes where, Homer goes through some shit, but he is also a person that's a dick. There's a give and take and stuff, and I like how they did it with Marshall Ali's character, the pianist character. And Viggo's character, I like him a lot. They did a good job of showing him in the beginning of the movie. And the thing is that he loves food a lot, so he is low on cash, so he decides to have a bet with this guy named Fat Paulie about who can eat the most hot dogs. So Fat Paulie eats 20 hot dogs. Viggo's character, the driver, he eats 26 hot dogs in an hour and stuff. Pineapple, kale, banana, orange juice, and kale drink. It's some really good shit. So, and there's also like another scene too where it's kind of funny where he's eating in his hotel room where he's eating a large pizza at once. He's folding it into a sandwich, like a taco shape. And that's some shit I'm gonna try and stuff. But what I liked about his character is that he is racist. Because in the beginning, his wife there were some African Americans working on his house, so his wife gives him like lemonade and stuff, and he throws away the cups that these guys use and stuff. And also, he was somebody who loved his family. He felt for the pianist character for being alone and stuff. He learns to treat him like a boss. Like, he is being hired to be his driver, so he learns over time to respect him and almost kind of caretake for him a bit, because he is kind of naive, not into the real world a lot. So I really like how they did it, because it's very easy to kind of have a white character in these type of films be a stereotypical racist. They're just always the bad guy, and I don't feel that with his character. So I like how he has a bit of prejudice, but over time he kind of learns to get rid of all of his prejudice and stuff. And I like that a lot about this movie, because I think that's very, very easy to look at films, and as I said before, the white guy always has to be the racist and completely wrong. The black guy is always a victim, and you can't have that because it's cartoonish. So I like how each character has something you like about them, something you hate about them, something that's good and something that's a character flaw. And I also think that with this film, that I also like how they touched on racism, because I really think that, schools will definitely show this film, because it does talk about racism, but as I said, it's not American History X where it's so ferocious. And I also liked what the pianist was talking about, because he did say that, because he's done well for himself, he's not respected by African Americans in his community, because people would say that he's so preppy, or he doesn't have the life that they share. And he also said that, he's very, very cultured. I meant that because he's cultured, that many African Americans are put off by him. And he also said that the reason why white people bring him to a lot of these events is to feel cultured, but in the end of the day, they look at him as a gifted nigger. And I like how he said that, because, I'm multiracial. I've had that experiences too, where, I've met people who are white who want to call me a nigger and put me down and be put off by me or be threatened by me or have a plan for me. Because I remember, like, one time in college, I remember my professor told me, Byron, you should write about being a black man in America. So I can totally relate to the Green Book. And also, I can totally relate to, I was into Pink Floyd in high school, but I remember my friends who were black, and they kind of said, what kind of black man listens to Pink Floyd? You need to pull on the 50 Cent and all that. And I've actually met black people who are surprised that I'm educated, and some black people who are surprised that I can read and write. And I've actually been called a traitor to the black race by black people because I have 2 college degrees. So definitely, there is that pain that people who are biracial, who look African American like me, I'm multiracial. And then there's pain that African Americans do feel, who are trying to do good for themselves, that they're looked at as an Uncle Tom, a house nigger, a Barack Obama wannabe. And I've been called a Barack Obama wannabe because they try to do better for themselves. And I love how Mahershala Ali's character captures that, because that is a real pain, and they don't do that well in film. And, you're stuck between, not being accepted by blacks, but also white people don't want to accept you. They want to have you to feel better about themselves, to feel like they're cultured, or they kind of gave back to a race that they've been oppressing for over 500 motherfucking years. So I like how they talk about that with his character. And it is painful and stuff. And I also like, with Mahershala Ali's character, it's revealed that he did have a wife at one point, and that relationship didn't work out. He had a relationship with his brother, it didn't work out. He is a drinker, and I like how they showed that he had some flaws and stuff. And the only thing that I did not like is that they showed that he was gay, and because I felt that was so shoehorned in, that, he gets discovered at the YMCA in Georgia that he and this white person were having sex with. They both were engaging in sexual acts with each other. And back then, you could get arrested or murdered for that, by police, especially if it's an interracial thing. But I didn't like how they handled that, because I felt that was just like 5 minutes shoehorned in and it didn't feel like they gave it appropriate attention, and that's the biggest drawback of this film I found. And I think as they go down south and other places, I think they did an excellent job of showing how every single place there was a bit of racism and problems that they endured and stuff. I like how they went down to Alabama, I believe, and what happens is that the driver, he gets mad at the cops for treating him badly and for treating the pianist badly and stuff. And then one of the cops said, why are you guarding this fucking nigger greaseball? So he gets mad and he punches the guy in the face and stuff. Because let's not forget that along with African Americans, Italian Americans, everybody faced racism at this time, minority groups. So they go to jail and stuff. And I like what happened was that Mahershala Ali's character, the pianist, he calls he makes a phone call to Bobby Kennedy and all that, and they get off the hook. And I love their phone conversation, their conversation in the car, because he's saying, Mahershala Ali's character is saying, you know what, this would have not happened if you didn't punch the guy in the face. You have to have dignity. You win with dignity over your fists. And he also said, you know what, while you think it's cool that Bobby Kennedy was threatening, I think it's cool that we call Bobby Kennedy and John F. Kennedy and all their friends and stuff, you have to understand that that's very degrading because I look like a nigger who can't handle my problems or I get into trouble. You don't understand how that indignifies me. So I really like how there is so much dimension to these characters that it's not just a black man facing racism. This is a black man who is hurt by being alone. This is a black man who has a drinking problem. This is a guy who doesn't want to be looked at as a N-word, and also he does not want to be looked at as a guy who needs, extra help by white people and stuff to handle his problems. So I like how he's so dimensional, and I also like the Italian, Vigo's character, like the Italian driver and all that. I didn't like his family because they kind of felt like a stereotypical Italian family. I really think they ripped off Goodfellas a lot. But I do think, they showed him as somebody who can change. They did show him as somebody who wanted to show Mahershala Ali's character, yeah, you have to live life and stuff. And, you're trapped by your preppiness and you're trapped by your snootiness and all that. So I think that dimensional wise, this is a great movie, and I love how they represented both races and stuff. And I think as a biracial person who wants to see more diversity and more accurate representations of people, I think this film does it very, very well. And If Beale Street Could Talk does this very well too. But I think I'm kind of sick of the films of, when a black person is a victim of a crime, you make them look as the biggest victim possible. Like, sometimes there's more dimensions to a character than just black guys are victims, white guys are white supremacists. And I think this film does a very good job of breaking those stereotypes and just saying, yeah, these are dimensional people and all that. So that's all I got to say about The Green Book. I think the cinematography was okay, the editing was okay, the performances, both of them deserve Oscar nominations. The writing definitely deserves an Oscar nomination. I do not want to see this one Best Picture. I want Best Picture to go to Black Panther because superhero films have done a lot, and I think that I think it would be better to have. This is the better film because there's more of a story. There's more relating to people and stuff. But I think Black Panther needs to get it just to be progressive in Hollywood. But I do think as a film, this one's Best Picture absolutely deserves this. But I do think that the only flaw in this film is two things. I do think it is a film that that didn't handle homosexuality with a lot more dimension, and I also think that it did not handle. And also, films about like black people being mistreated in the '60s, and whatever, are a dime a dozen. So definitely, it's good. But I think that when you look at Black Panther, at least that's more empowering because this film is kind of a little defeatist and stuff. Because it's talking about like an issue that made black people feel defeatist. It's important, but that can't just be the only thing getting over with audiences and at award shows. I think it would be good to have something that's completely positive and empowering. And that's kind of why I think Black Panther really needs to win the Best Picture, because I think that's going to really spearhead a lot of diversity and stuff. But that's all I got to say about The Green Book. I think they both did great actors. This is a great, very well put film. Cinematography, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actor, Best Film, Best Writing, all should be nominated. And even if it wins Best Picture, I would totally be okay with that. So that's all I gotta say about the Green Book. I strongly recommend this film.